Good evening, students. My name is Mohit Lawat, and am I audible? And online students, am I audible and visible? Please tell me. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Devesh. Vansh, thank you. So we will start the value addition part. All of you might have heard about the value addition. So in today's class, what we will be doing, simply two things. उससे ज़्यादा नहीं करेंगे, दो चीज़ें करेंगे. Right? Because value addition is more about factual data sometimes. Facts, data, keywords, all of these things. And they will become overwhelming to you after a while. Right? So in today's class, what we will be doing, I will be giving a general overview of what to do in the value addition, how to do, slightly paper-wise. And then the most crucial thing, because everyone knows that we have to collect data, we have to collect information, all those things, but most of you have very less command over the diagrams, the presentations, the presentation techniques, which kind of figures and diagrams you can use and where to use them, how to make all of that, right? So Sachi ma'am will be telling you all of those diagrams and figures that you can use in your answers and you have to use in your answers, right? So we will be beginning. How many of you, before I start, how many of you have seen this year's mains examination? Yes, GS1, GS2, GS3, especially GS1 paper, have you seen? It seems easy, right? But most of you, when you will see the previous year question papers of, let us say, history, geography, optional papers I'm saying, you will find an impression of the optional subjects nowadays. So UPSC is not asking very, very general questions, even though the name of the paper is General Studies Paper 1. So you have to be very precise, right? So it is even anyone who has same kind of optional, try to use at least that knowledge which is a generalized kind of knowledge. Let us say remove the name of scholars, remove the name of technical vocabulary, and you can utilize, or let us say little bit dumb it down for the general population, and you can use that same knowledge in your general studies answers. Okay, so let us start with value addition, right? So first I will be giving a general overview of value addition. Why we do value addition? Why do you think you need value addition? Please tell me. Online students. Today, there are two topics. I'll tell you the two topics because online students are asking. A general overview plus the presentation techniques. Plus the presentation techniques. These two things we will be covering, right? I will be telling you, let us say general overview will be sufficient to tell you what you need in your notes. First of all, these kind of value addition, this value addition that you will be doing, first it will go into your notes. First you will practice all of these things at your home. Only then you will be able to replicate these things into your answers, into your test series or your real examination. The application part will come after a lot of effort. You might have seen the toppers are making good figures, right? Sometimes very innovative figures. So those figures, you have to make those figures within 15 seconds, sometimes within 10 seconds, because you do not have the time, right? That you can make only if you have made those kind of figures or diagrams at your home at least 5 to 10 times. So this is very, very important for all of you. Also, value addition, what it will do, both of these things, they will increase, the effort is here, it will not increase your marks by, let us say, if you do not know the answer, it will not give you the marks. You should have a general idea. Value addition means now you are talking specific. You are using specific keywords, you are using specific data, facts, all those things. And you are trying to have that 1 mark extra per question. This is the edge that you are looking for. And that edge, if someone is able to master that 1 mark extra edge, this value addition techniques and presentation techniques, if you are able to do that, you will be having almost, let us say, 20 marks edge over your competition, which compounds a lot if we look at across 4 papers, right? Yes. So I will be giving the general overview. Then Sachi ma'am will be giving you 20 types of figures. And these are not 20, these are 20 types, right? If you learn to make one type, you can make it at let us say 10 different places for 10 different dimensions, for 10 different reasons. One figure can be replicated in GS1, GS2, GS3, everywhere, right? If I just give you the number of figures, you won't be able to know. But what you have to focus in this part here is how these are made. What is the logic behind this figure, particular figure? This is what will be your focus. Okay, so now let us see the general overview. In general overview, what you will be doing, for your notes or answers, because first it will go into your notes and then it will go into your answers. What are those things that you need to add? What are those things? Let's start with the very basic. Very basic is when you are making notes, you are definitely writing the definitions. So any definition that you write, although I always say that try to write definitions or try to use definitions as less as you can, especially in the introductions, right? But even if sometimes definitions are very, very necessary. For example, in ethics paper, they might ask a direct definition of a concept, or in geography, right? Fujiwara effect, they did ask it, right? So definitions will become handy sometimes. So whenever you write those definitions, they have to be from a standard source. Now, what are standard source? You should be able to tell the source of the definition. If you are writing the definition of poverty, you should be able to tell that it is the definition given by Niti Aayog or World Bank. If you are writing the, let us say, definition of family or definition of caste, you should be able to tell that, okay, this sociologist gave this definition. Are you getting the point? Standard definition as much as possible. Right? If you are reading one definition in NCERT, in bracket of that definition, you can simply write NCERT. Even that will validate your claim, right? So source is very, very important with definitions. Whenever you write definitions, it is very important you quote the source of it. Most of the times, the definition will be so general that you don't need to write the source. That is also there. The definitions sometimes are so universal definitions, so general definitions that they do not require any source. In those cases, you need not. But for example, as I said, if inequality or poverty, and then there is an institution defining it, or there is a committee defining it, right? If you are writing definition of below poverty line, then you have to tell about the Tendulkar committee or different committee, all those, right? So that becomes important. Another thing is, for every subject, whether it is history, whether it is culture, whether it is geography, and I keep repeating it, the most important thing that will fetch you marks is the keywords. The simple idea is, you have to write a test or you have to write an answer in 150 or 250 words. Out of those 150 or 250 words, if you cannot write those answers in 30 keywords, then that answer is almost, I will say, low scoring answer. So keywords are the language of that subject. Are you getting the point? Every subject has a different language. You will see geography has different vocabulary. Society has entirely different vocabulary. Similarly, polity has different vocabulary. So those keywords are very, very important, right? And another thing behind the keywords is, what is the idea of the keywords? Is that when you will be writing those keywords, they are a combination of 2 or 3 words most of the time, right? For example, criminalization of politics. It's a combination of 3 words. But it tells a bigger malaise. It tells a bigger issue. You might have to describe, if you do not use the word criminalization of politics, you might have to write one whole paragraph to explain that thing, right? Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, right? All these ideas, these keywords, they make your answer better because you are using the vocabulary of that subject, right? Or that topic. That is very important. Then what we have is data or facts or figure. So what are the data that you should be looking at? First of all, again, with data facts, sources are very, very important. Without the sources, you are writing any data, the examiner will not be verify it, and that examiner will not give you any marks. Right? I do not know for sure, but the idea is that UPSC, CSC mains tests, they are evaluated in high security environment where internet or cell phones might not be allowed. So the examiner does not have, if you are writing such kind of data which is very, very, I would say, rare data, avoid using those rare data. Avoid using the data which is not readily available with the examiner. And if you are using any data which you think is recent, might be missed by the examiner, for all the data, you will accompany the standard source. That is very, very important. Without writing standard source, it is very hard to justify, or let us say to judge the validity of your data. Because I'm telling you why it is also important. Because two different agencies, let us say PLFS and Niti Aayog, any two different agencies, if they are giving you data on one topic, their data will be different because their methodology is different, right? Their sample space is different. The way they have, the areas where they have done the surveys, they are different. The method of calculation is different. So the same data will come with slight variance or divergence. So that is why source is important. And now this data, now what data you should know? Point is what data. So if we are talking about, let us say, history or art and culture, right? In paper 1 I'm starting. What you will be writing? You should be knowing the name and dates. Dates, eras, names, right? Literature, name of the literature or literary contributions. All those things. These are very, very important to write in introduction, to write in body, right? Which book was written by which personality, which dynasty ruled from in which era, what were the years. Dates here means years or a span of years, right? This becomes very, very important. Apart from that, there will be, let us say, when we come to polity or in GS paper 2, if you are not talking about history, then what will be the data? Data will be constitution articles. In polity, this is the most important data along with case laws, Supreme Court judgments. What are case laws? These are Supreme Court judgments. These days, UPSC is asking directly. They are giving you in the statement of the question itself that you should know the case laws. If you are writing about right to environment or right to clean air, right to clean environment, you should be able to quote the cases like MC Mehta. If you are talking about right to privacy, very general, you should be able to write about, or you should know Puttaswamy, right? All those things, right? Apart from that, the fourth or D point is best practices. Now, why best practices are important? Why the best practices are important? Where to use them, right? Best practices, along with the best practices, you can write pilot projects, right? So where you would use them? Most probably and most frequently they will be used in the way forward, right? In way forward, when you will be writing way forward, or way forward simply means solutions you are giving for any answer. You will be giving the solutions or the way forward. So if you have a best practice tells to the examiner that you know how to achieve this objective that you are telling. The solution, there is a difference when you write in way forward. Most of the students, what mistake they make? They give guidelines to the government. In way forward, they give guidelines. And what are those guidelines? I have told it various times. You don't have to do that. Like community preparedness, awareness generation. These can be replicated anywhere. In a way forward, when you write way forward, the simple is there are three things involved. First is actor, second is action, and third is how or the mechanism. Right? So the how part is the most important part, that how to do, how to achieve something specific. Community preparedness, okay, government knows that. It's a disaster prone area. Community preparedness has to be done, or participative governance we need. But saying that we need to make it easier for the people to participate, but how? How can we make that? That best practice will be the example here. Either you write the best practice, or you can tell some mechanism that we can use technology. Let us say if I'm talking about agriculture exports. So what is the problem with agriculture exports? Most of them are food products, the products that we consume, right? Most of the time. So if I am a farmer and I am sending my produce to Europe, but if EU or European authorities cannot trace its origin, there is a danger that it might be infected, right? So there should be a proper traceability so that they can trace it to my farm back in my village, so that they know, okay, this came from this area and it is safe to consume. Now, how to ensure that traceability is good? What technology can we use for traceability? And that is blockchain, right? So this shows the how mechanism. So wherever you notice something, whether it is a best practice or whether it is the use of the technology, then the how mechanism is only one word or two words, two keywords. Please focus on those. Then examiner knows that you are writing precise points, exact points you are writing, right? Now another thing that we can do is, E is best practices we have done. Now government schemes. Right? Now, why knowing about government schemes? It is not just give you a value addition. If you are substantiating your point that what government is doing, then you need to say, okay, government is focusing on, let us say, top, right? Tomato, onion, potato, right? Then you should also be able to name the area, the scheme, when it came, all those things, because that gives a preciseness to your point. And the government schemes not only tell you what government is doing, they are also in the hindsight are telling you the issue that particular topic or that particular area is facing. They are telling you the way or the vision of the government, also telling you the vision, that in which manner or in which, for example, direction the government wants to move with its policy making. The vision of the policy making they tell. So once you substantiate your point with the government scheme, the examiner knows that you know the issue, you know the vision, you know in which direction policy has to move. You don't need to write all of these three things. If you start writing these three things, what will happen? You will fill up one page for one point, right? So that is why these are very, very important. What steps government are taking? And government means anything related to government agencies, government, state governments, right? RBI, SEBI, institutions, constitutional bodies, non-constitutional bodies, everything that is government, right? So this also is very, very important for you people. Now, another part is in the end, I would say targets, vision, or goal. For any topic, when you make notes, all of these things that I told you, they has to go into your notes. Now these target vision goals, you can utilize them not only to substantiate your points, but also in intro, also in conclusion, right, along with body points, right? Let us say you want to have a variety in your introduction, and you want to start with, for example, why this particular topic or particular scheme or particular area is significant, why this particular step is significant. You can start with the target goal vision in that area, right? That will be a significance based introduction. But writing something that, okay, for example, I'm talking about, let us say, renewable energy. Writing like renewable energy is a very significant area for India to explore because we are an energy hungry country. So this is a generic introduction, right? But if you show that significance with some goal or target or vision, that shows the emphasis from government's side. This is significant because government is trying to achieve that, right? So in that sense, that significance based introduction or importance based introduction that you are writing will be shown through these things. Or in conclusion, what you will do, let us say you wrote way forward, right? You told some steps, some solutions, for example, in renewable energy only. Then you will write that if we do these steps correctly, then we will be able to achieve this vision, this goal, right? And these vision goal, they will be different for different topics. For example, environment, we know nationally determined contribution or sustainable development goals or Viksit Bharat you are reading, or doubling farmers income you are reading. But if I go into IR, international relations, then our foreign policy have some objectives, right? Our foreign policy has some objectives. When we got independence, Pandit Nehru said that we want to achieve the rightful place in the Committee of the Nations, right? Have we achieved the rightful place in the Committee of Nations? Partially yes, partially no. So if, let us say, if the question is about UN membership, whether India should be able to get, or let us say argue for India's case of permanent seat in UNSC. So in that case, you can write the conclusion that if we get this, this will help us fulfill our founding fathers' vision of a rightful place in the Committee of Nations. So these statements, they are the vision, right? Not just vision is never always the number. Number is good. If you have number Viksit Bharat by 2047, that is a number. Doubling farmers' income, you are doubling, that is a number. But sometimes there will not be any number, right? So these are the things that there should be, they must be into your notes. And only if you are making notes, I'll repeat them again, I'll write them short again so that you know what I was talking about. Only if you are writing these into your notes, this actually go into data facts, but we can write again because it is a very important part. Government schemes, best practices, target vision goal, and the most important is keywords. Once you have made these things into your notes, now it is very easy for you. It is extremely easy for you to generate the points. For example, let us say I have data about domestic violence, right? Or fact about domestic violence. I have, for example, NCRB data, right? About domestic violence. Now by reverse engineering, obviously I will be making the point of domestic violence. right? I know what point to make. If I have data about criminalization of politics, I will obviously be writing that point, that subheading criminalization of politics is increasing in India. Only then I can use the data. So these things, once you make these, they not only are the keywords, they actually help you generate more points. This is not just value addition. They will help you generate more points in the body itself, and those points will be good points, good quality points you will be writing, right? Now this was just the general overview, right? From let us say next class onwards, we will be doing it paper wise. First we will take paper 1. In paper 1 we will talk about what kind of value addition we can do in art and culture and history, then in society, and then in geography. That will be next classes first, and then in the third class we will be doing GS paper 2. So there will be total 4 more classes. And for the second part, now Sachi ma'am will be teaching you the presentation techniques, those diagrams which she made herself in the examination and got good marks. And not only the diagrams, what you have to focus here, you have to focus on the mechanism of the diagram. That okay, if this is the situation, I can replicate same kind of figure in a different paper, in a different question, in a different context as well, right? So once you learn that, you don't need, you would stop collecting the figures, you would stop looking for those diagram banks everywhere कि टॉपर की कॉपी मिल जाए, वहां से डायग्राम निकाल लूं, यहां से निकाल लूं, because now you know why to make these, how to make these, what is the rationale behind it. Okay, so Sachi ma'am, please come. Yes, they will be open, don't worry dear, you will be taught everything in free. I'm not asking for any money, don't worry. Yes, they will be open. Yes, but they will be open. They will be open for everyone, because at Vajiram and Ravi we believe in a philosophy that you cannot charge student for everything. There are some things which have to be taught to the student for, let us say, just because you want to see them getting a rank, right? So they will be open. Yes. Yes.
So if we take that data out to explain our answer with respect to that distinct to politics,
yes.
So will that fit as a good source if I mention that?
But in Indian Express, they might have quoted a study also in that article. You will see that they, because it is a newspaper, they will write the data only when there is, they will name that this is where we have taken the data. A study has been done by this institute, or a study has been done. If they had done it by themselves, then they will tell that a study was done by our team, Indian Express team. So you can write that Indian Express data. Then you can write Express investigation. Yes.
ये PDF हुई है क्या? Hello everyone. So in short, I do not believe in taking too much time of students. I believe things should be done in a very concise manner, and there should be some objective thing that every student should take out from this class. And hello online students. So I'll be giving you few of the diagrams that I particularly made and used, and it might have benefited me as well, though I do not have my checked UPSC answer copies, obviously. But yes, I see a significant increase in my marks, approximately 65 to 70 marks increment from my previous mean. So it might have helped. And as the sir has also told you that there are certain benefits. It helps you to gain more marks. These are all right. But from an aspirant perspective who is writing an answer in, let's say, 7 minutes or 7.5 minutes, these diagrams will help you concise your whole material into one single diagram. And that would be more presentable. That will break the monotony of the examiner as well, because please understand, he or she is an old person and he is getting few bucks for checking your copy. So it's better if you do some innovation, some creativity, and make him a little bit more happy कि भाई ठीक है, इस इतने बड़े उसकी जगह I have given you this particular diagram and it in fact concise your data or your point or your explanation or your argument in a much better way, which might not be the case while you're writing it, because many of you, including me, I was not very well in, what do I say, comprehension or articulation. That was my weak point, and I knew it. So I used these diagrams very extensively, and I have made this PDF for you all, and I hope it will help you. One more disclaimer: they might seem that okay, it is very difficult to implement. The only thing or way that you can do it in your UPSC mains examination is through continuously practicing it in your test. Please do that at least 5 to 10 times, otherwise they will not come to you. बहुत इनफैक्ट बैकफायर कर जाएगा कि डायग्राम बनाना है लेकिन लिखना भी है, लेकिन डायग्राम भी बनाना है, उसमें तो समय भी चले जाएगा. वो 7 minutes are gone in thinking. So it's better to practice it beforehand and then go to the implementation of it. So let's start. The first is the Venn diagram. The Venn diagram, I hope it is visible. Yes, Venn diagram. So generally Venn diagram can be used in ethics and in governance part, where you have to show that there are certain 3 different things, but their intersection or their coming together is very important in order to achieve a altogether different goal. For example, you can write aptitude and attitude and EI, and this particular portion will lead to ethical competence, or people, planet, profit. The target that it achieves is sustainability from the corporate's perspective. From the corporate's perspective, the companies. So these diagrams where 3 different things come together in order to achieve a particular thing that is altogether different. So these are the things like this you can draw in governance, this you can draw in economics, this you can draw in ethics. Similarly, you can draw it in as many ways as you can. Do not restrict yourself or restrain yourself. बहुत ज्यादा इनोवेशन क्रिएटिविटी है नहीं मार्केट में. लगता है कि सबके पास तो ये सब है, बट सबका सिलेक्शन तो तब भी नहीं हो रहा, because it's the implementation part. People shy away and people think that they should be perfect and then only they should be applying it. No, go for it. ज्यादा से ज्यादा गलती तो होगा, टेस्ट में कम मार्क्स आ जाएंगे, बट यू विल टेक अ लर्निंग कि ऐसे अप्लाई नहीं कर सकते, लेट्स ट्राई इट इन अनदर वे, एंड फाइनली यू विल फाइंड अ वे वेयर इट फिट्स परफेक्टली. Okay. Next is the 2x2 matrix. Next is a 2x2 matrix. What does it mean? Where you have to show that there are 2 things and there are 4 possibilities out of those 2 things. Example. Morality, legality. Now, one block can be of a person who is moral but is not legal. Second block can be who is legal and not moral. And third is not even legal and not. And finally, where both coincides. these things. Now if you imagine, if you go on writing this, it would be so monotonous and आप खुद ही confused हो जाओगे कि moral है कि legal है, बार बार खुद ही check करते रहोगे, honestly, because in a time pressurized manner you are so afraid कि कहीं कुछ गलती ना हो जाए. But if you do this, moral, legal, and that's it. Understood? एक और ethics related ही बताती हूँ. Honest and competent. So a person might be honest but might not be competent. A person may be competent but might not be honest. A person might not be the both. And finally, we require a person who is having both the qualities. So here the honesty will come and here the competency will come. Much better way. Especially these things will come in section A and sometimes in case studies as well. There is no issues with it. But you should know how to apply it. Again and again I am telling you this. Okay? कुछ और example आप अपनी तरफ से देना चाहते हो? Let's say short term goal and long term goal. A particular step might be fulfilling a short term goal but might not be give fruits to the long term goal. Environment versus development. Very good. Good. Efficiency versus effectiveness. And electoral field. Very good. Very good point. If you are able to do that, it will be a very good point. So understood how you will be applying it. And can you see in so many things you can apply it? It's just that you need to practice it enough. After a point of time, बहुत handy आएंगे and it will obviously increase at least 1 mark. At least 1 mark. And आप समझिए कि 1 मार्क एक एक क्वेश्चन में कितना मायने रखता है. Then triangle. Triangle to show that how one thing is connected to other and how the other thing is connected to the third thing. Let's see. Article 14, 19, 21. When we talk about, let's say, sustainable development, can we talk about economic growth, environment, social equity? When we talk about good governance, administration, efficiency, objectivity, compassion, how one thing is incomplete without the other and how the trinity of all this is required to attain a particular goal. Can it be done? Tell me, और examples बताओ. अब और भी subject से बता सकते हो. It's nothing like that. Very good point. Inclusive growth में what you will give in 3? First can be social equity, second can be environment, and third can be financial inclusion would be a better thing to ठीक है. And let's say energy trilemma, where we need security, we need accessibility, and we need affordability. Very simple, but it will definitely improve your marks. ये आपकी copy है. You have written introduction here, heading, next you have started. But here if you draw this diagram, will it not fetch a, let's say, half a mark? और बहुत कुछ इतना है वो भी नहीं है. Just simple words, fancy words. लगा दो, marks आ जाते हैं. लोगों के आते हैं. हाँ बोलिए. Excess? Okay, ठीक है. Yes. Okay. Let's say if a question is talking about SDGs, so how can we show that this any particular SDG that it is talking about, let's say SDG 9, how it is related to 1, how it is related to 5, how we need to complete these two in order to achieve this. एंड 1 की जगह अगर आप 3 भी लिखोगे तो भी कोई इशू नहीं आएगा. दिस इज जुगाड़ू वे आई एम टेलिंग यू. 5 की जगह 7 भी लिखोगे तो भी कोई इशू नहीं आएगा. इट्स जस्ट द एक्स्ट्रा टाइम कि उस वक्त आपके माइंड में 10 to 15 सेकेंड्स में इफ यू आर एबल टू मेक इट, क्योंकि सब एसडीजीज एक दूसरे से कनेक्टेड है. एक अबव द लैंड है, एक बिलो द सी है. ठीक है. नेक्स्ट इज confluence or culmination. So if you want to show that what were the reasons or factors that led to a particular event or happening, this is the way you can write. Understood what I am telling? That there can be multiple reasons which might have culminated into triggering of one particular event. Climate change, landslide, नेपाल में अभी फ्लड्स आए, you can quote here. इसको अगर प्रॉपर अगर क्वेश्चन भी नहीं आता, a question comes on, let's say floods as a disaster, and if you make this diagram and taking नेपाल, because अब नेपाल एक अच्छा खासा इवेंट बन चुका है, you have to quote it as an example. So rather than just quoting it in as an example point के नीचे, if you make this छोटा सा diagram corner में and you make it Nepal floods 2026 and you write few of the causes here, that would be a better way to present your answer. That would be a much better way to present your answer. Okay. Why to take only current affairs? हिस्ट्री में जाते हैं. चलो 1857 रिवोल्ट, बहुत सारे फैक्टर्स थे. इंटरफेरेंस इन रिलीजन, सोशल इनइक्वालिटी, प्रिंसली स्टेट्स का एनेक्सेशन, there were multiple reasons. Partition, World War II, Quit India movement. There were a lot of reasons, just simple reasons that you anyways know. Now rather than writing in a ऐसे point wise format में, just go for it. Just mention the important point or the crux or the keyword in here and just mention what it culminated into. No, you don't have to define it. In GS, it has to be keyword specific thing. You need not to explain it. Your keywords should be such that it should be self-explanatory in nature. Examiner does not want to know कि explanation क्या है. Examiner को पता है. Examiner just wants to know whether you know it or not. आप उसको क्या explain करके दिखा रहे हो, आपसे बहुत ज्यादा जानता है वो. He or she is a professor of that particular subject of which you are writing a general studies paper. Getting my point? Now, if you will define ivory tower syndrome, उसको पता है ivory tower syndrome क्या है. He wants to know that if you know or not. So you have to just mention the keyword. Linkages he'll be able to connect. You have to write, explanation has to be reduced, number of points have to be increased. Number of the word limit, in fact, I tell you, if you have mastered the art of using the keywords and dropping it along with the examples, you will be falling short of space. I have seen it by myself. पेज ऐसे होता है यूपीएससी का एंड दीज आर द लाइन्स, ऊपर और नीचे लाइन नहीं होती, देयर आर ओनली दीज टू vertical lines, no horizontal lines. I have to go till this way and page number यहाँ लिखा होता है. But you have to learn that skill. It has to be increase in the number of points and decrease in the explainability part. Understood? Explain नहीं करना है. और कुछ लगा सकते हो फैक्टर्स? Jobless growth. Anything, कोई भी phenomena, anything that you are seeing, any event, Asian financial crisis, anything that you are seeing right now, there has been multiple factors or causes for the same. You have to just mention it here. बहुत ही universal applicability है इस चीज की.
Can we use it in reverse direction? Like if we apply AI in governance, it must have some benefit.
That I'll show how you have to do it. There is a different way. थोड़ा थोड़ा यूनिक करते रहते हैं ना. Now Fishbone. ये मैंने नाम अब दे दिए, उस वक्त तो पता भी नहीं था, बस ऐसे बना देती थी मैं. Just for your reference, I have given it to you. Again, Fishbone means that there are multiple sticks of bone. Metamorphically लेना इसको, sticks of bone that is continuously pinching it to make an event to go on a continuous basis. It is different from the previous one. The previous one was saying that there were factors and those factors have led to the culmination of one particular thing. But it is saying that there are factors that are continuously in the process and that is making that one particular process in going. For example, agrarian distress. It is an evergreen phenomena. Though we had a green revolution, it is an evergreen phenomena. अब क्या क्या factors हो सकते हैं? Let's say income, MSP, good point, lack of credit. Instead of that, can I write climate change? Can I write fragmented land holdings? Lack of technology as well. Can I write accessibility of credit? Still the informal sector dominates when it comes to agricultural loans. There can be multiple factors and these factors are in process. ये अभी भी हैं. That's why agrarian distress is continuing. So in this way it is different from the previous. The previous one is that a particular set of events have happened and that has led to an event that has occurred. It is saying that there are factors that are going on and these factors are leading to a process or a phenomena that is also going on. Here we can also talk about climate change. We can also talk about NPAs, growing NPAs. Because these are the processes that are ongoing. Chemical fertilizers, okay. ठीक है, good point. Internal security challenges. Okay, women related challenges, gender related challenges, any challenge that is ongoing and sub challenges ongoing here. Hardly there is a challenge जो अभी खत्म हो गया. Understood this part? Now next is funnel. For funnel, look, there can be 2 to 3 uses of this funnel type diagram. First, it can be used in the case studies. It can be used in the case studies. Here you can mention the options. Generally, one of the parts of the in the questions of the case study is that what are the options available to you and how you, for which option you will be going by. So instead of writing option number 1 this, option number 2 this, write here options. Like one option can be to ignore the situation. One option can be to accept what it is. One option can be to raise the concern. One option can be to set up, let's say, an independent committee. One option can be a different option, anything. Here the funneling or the filtering out effect is coming. So here you will be writing the ethical dilemma in choosing a particular option. Ethical dilemma in choosing a particular option, because here every process is going on. And finally the result. So benefit of this is you don't have to write, because especially in ethics, one of the important issues is time. We do not have enough time. What this diagram would do, it will help you give first the scope of writing the options, second what ethical justification or theory or value you have applied while you were assessing these options, and finally because of that finally with what option you went by. Otherwise this whole process would at least take 1.5 to 2 pages. If you have not attempted case studies, you might not be knowing it, but anyone who has at least seen case studies कि होती कैसे है, they would have getting the gist कि मैं क्या कह रही हूँ. नहीं आ रहा. ठीक है. This is how you will be solving, or you will be concising 3 parts in one diagram, and in a much better and presentable manner. ठीक है. This is one thing. What are the options that you have? Here, what the ethical justification or theories or dilemmas you are having. And finally, the course of action or the option with which you will go by. So here you will be giving that, okay, which theory you have applied, because it's an ethics paper, you have to give some ethical justification of any option that you have chosen. So here it will come like here, the options here, and finally. Okay, this is one way of using the funnel. Second way, a simple way, where you can either apply it on governance, where you can show that, okay, these are the steps for any policy. Like for policy, we need let's say, data. Then we need making of the policy, or planning of the policy. Then we need proper people, the bureaucrats, for design and the implementation of it. So implementation. And finally, when it is being implemented, the feedback. This is the process of a policy making. Here, the filtering out of it happened. Based on the feedback, you will filter out the negatives of the policy and you will add on what is being needed. And those particular thing that is being needed will be your outcome of it. Understood? So this filtering through the funnel would occur. Understood what I am saying? A much better way to present your answer. Any other idea that you think can be applied here? Anything?
Specifically, question challenges
Okay, nice, nice. That we write the challenges here and then we write the way forward, because it's basically the input and output mechanism. So anywhere that you feel that there is something that we are giving and we want something else, so this funnel type diagram you can make. Okay, understood? Keystone arc, a bit unique. Keystone arc is where you want to show the importance of any particular body or phenomena or institution that is important for the upkeep of this particular pillar. Example, this is the pillar of governance, let's say. Here it is legislative, here it is executive. And to balance it out both, so that legislative does not become authoritative or executive does not violate the rights of the people, we need judiciary. So how judiciary is the keystone arc of good governance. Now instead of writing this particular framework, will it not be a better way to present it? Much better way. Take one more example. Let's say this is the pillar of electoral democracy. What are the components of electoral democracy? Timely and free and fair election. What do we need? An independent ECI. So the pillar or the arc of electoral democracy lies on the keystone arc of independent ECI. A much better way to answer. Let's say if any question comes on ECI, forget about what is being asked. Will it not be a good diagram to make it? After writing कि फलाना फलाना section में ECI बोलता है, in the introduction you all start by it, right? And we will all started by like that. बहुत सालों से चले आ रहे, वही चले आएगा क्योंकि और कुछ ऑप्शन नहीं है. बट अब क्या करें? What else or what different that we can do? Just make this diagram in the corner and डब्बे में बंद कर दो. That will show the importance of ECI. Even though the question might be saying a lot of negatives about ECI कि ये हो गया है, corruption हो गया, ये हो गया, but still we want to show that ECI is important. No matter how much we criticize collegium system, we still see towards our judiciary. तो जॉली LLB में जब बोलते हैं कि आज भी जब दो लोग लड़ाई करते हैं तो we'll see you in the court. Why? Because we still have faith in our judiciary system. Okay, let's take one more example. Monetary credibility. RBI. Any two keywords that you think is important, just mention it. I'm not telling it a class नहीं है. I just want to highlight की importance क्या है. RBI. If any question comes, will you not make it now? Otherwise क्या बनाओगे? RBI में बहुत straightforward question आएगा. Economics anyways comes very technical in nature in mains. It is very difficult to draw diagrams that are relevant. But these are the diagrams that anyways can help you. Inflation management, proper loans to the citizen. So I've given you 3-4 diagrams or examples of it. You can apply it anywhere that you want. Okay, I have good diagrams. You just sit and watch. You'll love it. नहीं सब में नहीं बनते. It's not possible. It's just that wherever you feel the scope, that you can draw the diagram. And there will be times where you will find कि कोई scope नहीं है. So don't make it. Be practical in your approach. If you think that okay, it will satisfy or it will give marks to you, then only make it. Don't make it just for the sake of making it. You have to be practical in that sense, क्योंकि अगर डायग्राम भी बनाते रह जाओगे तो फिर शायद टाइम भी ज्यादा लग जाए आपको, अगर केवल डायग्राम से फोकस करोगे. एंड हर क्वेश्चन में डायग्राम बनाओगे, देन एग्जामिनर माइट थिंक दैट यू आर ओवर स्मार्ट पर्सन. It is to break the monotony and it is to bring some extra marks wherever it is difficult to get. Now the coin. When we have to show two faces of one coin. Democracy with what?
Judicial independence in terms of decision making and dealing decision making and the vice versa. Judicial activism and overreach. Uniform civil.
ये सेम कॉइन थोड़ी है. हाँ. Sorry.
Uniform civil uses.
With?
Like for implementation and for cultural reasons.
नहीं, with what? You have to show two things. Like rights and duties. Both go hand in hand. They are two sides of the same coin. With what? Didn't you get what I'm saying? Like, we need two things, huh? With? No, you're not getting my point. Okay, now we are talking. Green GDP and inclusive growth. Good point. Judicial independence and judicial accountability. Authority and accountability. Difficult to apply because we want judicial activism, but we do not want judicial overreach. We want judicial accountability and independence both. We want rights and duties both. Getting my point? So what you are saying, they can't be together. The things that we want together, but we think that they are different. With?
Demolition with rehabilitation.
ठीक है. Profit of what? ठीक है. हो गया. Understood what I am saying? That anything that we want together, but if we want one thing, we cannot escape from the other. Rights versus duties. Freedom versus responsibility. Huh? That we want them together. We do not want judicial overreach. No.
Collegium system with autonomy and transparency.
Instead of that, judicial independence and accountability would be a better. We still are finding whether collegium is a good institution or wrong.
Something which are seen to be, which are perceived to be different, diverging, but essentially they are the same.
Like what I'm saying, that we want two things, and if we want one thing, we cannot escape from the other aspect. Like we cannot only just want our rights and do not fulfill our duties.
And tribal accommodation plus cultural autonomy, tribal development.
Good. Tribal development and cultural accommodation. Whenever we are talking about development-led displacement. So development-led displacement can be a case study as well. one of the important themes when we talk about the case studies. So tribal led displacement is one of the things, especially when we are talking about in next year there might be one of the case studies on similar lines of Great Nicobar project. So one of the important issues is that the threat that we are posing to the indigenous communities there. Okay, so there we can draw this diagram that how we want them to be developed, but we want their culture to be restored and preserved. ठीक है. AI adoption and job protection. Good point. Very good point. Okay, fine enough. Good point. ठीक है. Understood कैसे apply होगा? That we want two things, and one thing cannot, and when we want one thing, we cannot escape from the other. If we want tribal development or if we want the development of that particular area, we cannot ignore the cultural autonomy or cultural right of the tribal people. Okay. Now, freedom versus responsibility, there can be many. Now the double helix. Double helix means it is a diagram of what? DNA. DNA is the core of the body or the cell. So anything that we want, one second. Anything that we want, and two things that we think might be different, but they go together in achieving of that. For example, let's take an example of society. So we want modernization, but we want our traditions or culture to be preserved. Then we will be able to do globalization in a holistic manner. Because these two things are in contrary to each other, at least we perceive them so. That if modernization is happening, then we might be losing on our traditions or culture or beliefs. But to sustain in a globalized world, we have to take them together so that they can merge to each other. Huh? With ठीक है. Wage led inflation. Okay. And good point. Allopathy versus Ayurvedic that we generally talk, but we need both of them for a holistic wellness nation. Very good point. Global governance and sovereignty of the state. Atmanirbharta and with अरे that word ना बहुत conclusions में quote करते हैं. Global village क्या बोलते हैं उसको? वासुदेव कुटुंबकम. So Vasudev Kutumbakam and Atmanirbharta seem different. That we are considering whole world, whole earth as a family, but we are focusing on independence of our own nation or of our own state. seem to be different, but when we do both on a balanced way, then only we'll be able to achieve what is known as development. हाँ, सबका साथ सबका विकास के मतलब क्रक्स समझ गए ना मैं क्या कह रही हूँ. Understood कैसे? So this diagram is generally used that when we think that there are two things and they might be in contrary to each other or opposite to each other, but they need to come together in order to achieve a particular goal. So for such diagrams we can use the double helix diagram. Understood? Let's move to next. Tree branch. ऐसे मत सोचना कि ये बनाना पड़ेगा, सिंपल ही है. देखो अब मैं वो वाला बनाना नहीं चाहती थी, है ना. I do not want to make this one. So थोड़ा सा ठीक लगता है और ज्यादा समय भी नहीं लगेगा, जैसे ऐसे ही बनाना है. Now when we want to show this particular diagram, we generally do when we want to show that there is a particular input and because of that we are having a output. For example, ethics. No, like the roots are the values that we have. The trunk is the conditioning that we have, and then we have the, what is the fruit of all of this? The character that is shown, the character of the individual.
Proper parenting and conditioning should be like authoritarian understanding of the parents.
No, I'm not talking about whether this character development will be good or bad. I'm telling what sort of values you are inculcating and what sort of conditioning you are getting. Based on that, your character will be developed. Values can be, patriarchy is also a value. What is value? Belief system. And conditioning is that you are grown in a household where you see domestic violence to be very common. So there are chances that you will be patriarchal in nature. Apply it to, let's say, at institution level. The roots is that we have unethical work culture. The trunk might be that we de-incentivizes the ethical workers and incentivize the unethical workers. Because of this, the fruit will be that this system would be highly corrupt. Social inequality भी.
Can you use it for tribal concession?
For tribal?
Concession.
Oh. How?
In roots, we write tribal concession. And on which side we can write outcomes of that, like हमारे schools.
ठीक है. And here? Let's say implementation of it. Accommodation of the tribals with the administrators or the bureaucrats. And finally, we have the fruit. So the particular pipeline where input is something and there is going a particular pipeline because of which we are having a fruit, and that fruit can be both negative and positive. I have shown a patriarchal system, and this particular thing can be, so let's say it's a very good ethical workplace. Ethical people are incentivized. Unethical people are, let's say, fired or something. So we get a very good ethical institute. So whenever we want to show a particular process, then we can go for this tree branch diagram. Please ऐसे ही बनाना, थोड़ा अच्छा लगेगा, है ना? I really want this. Looks like a drawing class. I just wanted it to be like so. कब तक हब एंड स्पोक और पिरामिड और ये सब बनाते रहोगे? Everyone is making that, na? Let's make something different that might help you. That's why. Next is scale of balance. You all must be knowing it. When we have to balance a particular thing. Let's say you can only tell me means versus ends. So in between we need the prudence. Let's say individual conscience and institutional loyalty. When let's say you have to balance your duty towards the RTI, but you have to also fulfill your duties in Officer Secrets Act. So where you have to balance the both, and both the things are right in their own essence, but when it is in dilemma or in competition with the other aspect, then we have to balance it. Rights versus duties. ठीक है, professional ethics versus your private values. You want to go? Go. Don't worry, जाओ मस्त. Equality and equity, ठीक है हर्षिता. Ethical considerations, best method leading to good research outcome. Understood how you can. So scale of balance, where we have to balance two good things. Next is when we want to show the importance of one thing with the other things. Like I told you the example of SDG. You can make this nexus for, let's say, One Health approach. Do you know what is One Health approach? Where animals, human, environment. When we want to, let's say, do certain things with regards to climate change, when we want to do, let's say, certain things with regards to internal security, criminalize, anything, the nexus that you have to break, we need the combination of certain factors. So instead of writing those 5 points in point-wise format, try to make it like that. Try to make such sort of nexus. Nexus of what? Let's say nexus of corruption, nexus of bureaucrats and politicians, nexus of climate change, nexus of social inequality, nexus of good governance and unethical governance both. Anything that requires multiple components, this diagram can be used. Just mention the keywords here. Or one more thing, it will help you to concise your points as well, because you will be forced to write the keywords only. When you have the scope to write both, then only you will go for the explanation part. But जब पता है कि इतना ही डब्बा है अपने पास, तब उतना ही लिखोगे. You will just drop the keywords. ये देख लेना, but this particular thing I used for IR specific questions. So whenever a question comes on, let's say, India balancing both the two aspects, let's say global south and global north. And this is the tight rope or the bridge that India is walking. So what will be the pillars? It can be, let's say, providing G20, G20, the global south को वो AU को दी थी ना, African Union को. That we can also talk about vaccine Maitri. We can also talk about International Solar Alliance. There can be multiple pillars through which India is bridging global south versus global north. Let's say the current example. USA, Russia. How India is balancing? अभी गोद करके एक आए थे जम्मू एंड कश्मीर में, if you are following them. So that's the USA part. We are importing oil from Russia. Now, in fact, in today's article, you will get an article where it is said that not only we are importing from Russia, in fact, we are exporting to Russia. Why? Because Russia is engaged in the Ukraine war, and Ukraine has striked over oil refineries or oil infrastructure in Russia. So we are bakayada bringing or importing the Russian crude oil, refining it here and exporting it back to Russia. So that's how we are balancing it. Similarly for USA as well. Similarly for, let's say, China. We are planning, our Prime Minister is planning to meet Xi Jinping. I think one is in the SCO meeting and one is in the BRICS that is scheduled in the next month. So we are trying to balance. So wherever it is you have to show the act of balance by India between two extreme nations or organizations or regional groupings. You can make this diagram. And if possible, try to draw 2 to 3 pillars where you can mention what ways India is using in order to balance the two. Like global south and global north, G20 presidency, vaccine Maitri, International Solar Alliance, UNSC reforms, what not. फ्लो चार्ट तो बना ही सकते हो ईश्वरी, बट माय पॉइंट इज कि लेट्स मूव फॉरवर्ड फ्रॉम फ्लो चार्ट्स नाउ. फ्लो चार्ट, हब एंड स्पोक, पिरामिड, ये सब हो गया. लेट्स क्रिएट समथिंग फ्रेश. ठीक है. नेक्स्ट इज प्रिज्म. कीवर्ड का रिकॉल करने का सिंपल फंडा है. एक डेटा बैंक बना लो कीवर्ड्स का, बार बार रिवाइज करो बिफोर गोइंग टू द टेस्ट और बिफोर गोइंग फॉर द फाइनल एग्जामिनेशन हॉल. उसको एक बार देख लो. मैं तो पता है क्या करती थी एग्जामिनेशन हॉल में, एंड आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट दिस इन माय लास्ट अटेम्प्ट. तो लास्ट अटेम्प्ट में तो सोचते होंगे कि बहुत कुछ पढ़ लिया. कीवर्ड पढ़ के जाती थी, वहां पे जाके फटाफट जो क्वेश्चन पेपर था उस पर कीवर्ड्स नोट डाउन कर ली. बाद में भूल जाते हैं. लिख लिया, क्या करे. तो इतना सारा है एंड इट गेट्स सो मेस्ड अप इन योर हेड, बैक टू बैक पेपर्स. So create your own data bank, your own keyword based bank and revise it multiple times. कुछ और ऑप्शन नहीं है, बहुत बार अप्लाई करो, तब भी इतना सारा पढ़ोगे, इतना सही याद रह पाता है. But that's what UPSC is. Prism, the ulta, what you were saying, the confluence or wala part. Here, one thing is, let's say, distributing or giving multiple consequences. AI. It is bringing innovation. It is bringing the fear of jobless. It is bringing the issue of data privacy. It is bringing the issue of digital divide. Like there was a report recently by the Anthropic Claude itself that India is the second largest user of Claude. Second largest user of Claude, but India is standing at the 101st position in terms of per capita usage. It shows that yes, we are using Claude in bulk, but when it comes to distribution of the particular Claude, that is very dismal in scale. Why? Because the report itself says that in the metropolis, the Claude is specifically confined or concentrated in the metropolis only. It has not percolated to tier 2 or tier 3 cities. Then now it can incorporate, let's say, gender as well, let's say old age people as well. Understood? So the digital divide. AI can lead to good governance, but it can also lead to, let's say, the data biases. So anyway, we have to show that one thing is leading to multiple consequences. The confluence wala part was many things are leading to one thing. And this is the prism where one thing is giving us many consequences or results. So this way you can show. Okay. Yes, you can, Bhagya. It's a good point. It's a good usage of it. Ladder, where you have to show the scale, or where you have to show that there is a difference in two things. It can be like when you have to show the ivory tower syndrome again, where on the highest position we have bureaucrats and here we have citizens. Okay, let's say there was a news recently that how the number of Gen Zs or the youth in the parliamentary in the parliaments or the state legislative assemblies is very low. Only I think 35 people combined in parliament and state legislative assemblies. I think thoda sa isi ke around hai. Only this particular number is from the Gen Z people. Jisme one of the causes tha that how the 25 years of age of eligibility that we require to contest the elections is one of the reasons for the same. And Gen Zs we generally consider to be currently who are 15 to 29 years of old. So where we have to show that okay, in this particular Gen Z who are who have seat these 35 people, approximately 25 of them are the political dynasts. Belong from political dynasts, they are known as political dynasts. What does it mean? That we have a particular ladder. Only those people who have already accessibility to the political field are able to get into the parliament. And the ones who are not, who are the local youth, they are not getting the opportunity. This particular ladder you can also make for, let's say, we talk a lot about glass ceiling. There also we can show. In this, we can show how glass ceiling, both in positive and in negative manner. We can show that these are the challenges. Just mention the challenges here. You can show there is a woman, it is the top position. This is what the glass ceiling is, that woman is not able to reach the highest position. So here is woman, here is the top position, these are the challenges. And women have to climb these challenges over this ladder to achieve the top position in order to break the glass ceiling. Now, instead of writing the glass ceiling as only mentioning it, will it not be a better way to draw this ladder? Understood? In so many things we can do that. in ivory tower syndrome, in ethical governance, in good governance, in citizen charter as it is. Why citizen charter is still a dream? Because of the accessibility and the top down approach that is being followed. This is the diagram where you can show that. ठीक है? Iceberg. ठीक है. Iceberg, to show that a particular phenomena or aspect has two components, and only we are aware of one particular thing, and that is very minuscule in scale, but it has a much larger impact. You can use it in AI. You can use it to show the banking system, the formal banking, and the shadow banking. You can use it to show formal workforce and the informal workforce. It is approximately 85%. It is only 10 to 15%. You can also, you must have read surface web and dark web. Understood? So in these things, AI ka bhi, the negatives of it, and just we see the tip of the iceberg. Now, if a question come on, let's say AI ka hi lete hain. Ab instead of writing the positives and the negatives or the challenges, just mention the positives here, and you have ample amount of space to write the challenges here. A better way, watermark की तरह हो जाएगा. Got my point? A better way to present your answer. Concentric circles. Concentric circles, where you have to show a particular pattern, that one thing, let's say it can be shown. अभी इसको देख के जो सबसे पहली चीज याद आती वो है, one thing you must have read about how urbanization needs to plan. So in the core we can do the CBD. CBD you all know, Central Business District. In the outskirts of it we can draw residential working class. In the outskirts of it we can show middle working class, and in the outskirts we can show the commuter zone. We can show it for urbanization. We can show it for, let's say, the ghettoization. And अगर इसको और भी एस्पेक्ट्स में अगर यूज कर सकते हो, if you are able to think like that, अगर ethics में you can show self, community, society, nation. That we are not different from nation. We are part of nation. And nation is much bigger than the community or the society that we belong. Anything can be shown through this diagram. It can be used in the ethics part. If you Indian society में एक और जगह use हो सकता है. If you have read that caste system, तो individual, gotra, caste, community, region. If you have read it, caste is a prominent important topic in Indian society, GS1. This is a way you can draw. If you have to show how caste system works, how the Gotra system, the caste system, the community system works, the lineage, the descent. If अच्छे से पढ़ा होगा तो familiar होंगे इन कीवर्ड से. Hierarchy you can show. Very good point. Hierarchy. Huh? Anything, anywhere that you think will, because that's the creativity or innovative part of it. Okay. Next is the cycle part. This you all know relatively. How one thing is leading to another, and finally is the impact or the cause of the first part. Vicious cycle, virtuous cycle in any aspect. I don't think I need to explain this, but for your reference. Ma'am, this year mains was absurd. Looks like UPSC has become Dimagi AI. Next is, don't want to comment. Spectrum. दिमागी AI है ना, ठीक है. Spectrum, where you have to show the scale or the impact. हिस्ट्री से स्टार्ट करते हैं. Moderates, extremists, revolutionaries. किसी ने बोला था वो ऑप्शनल में, PSI और ऑप्शनल राइट्स लेफ्ट सेंटर. Anything that you want to show on scale. अभी ethics में भी यूज हो सकता है. Rural country, very good point. This scale is showing the spectrum of any phenomena or any aspect. Like अगर ये scale है तो it is showing कि कोई भी चीज दो एक्सट्रीम में तो है, लेकिन in between of it बहुत compartmentalized नहीं है. It is either the more of it and less of it or the same here. अगर यहाँ पे एक्सट्रीम ये वाला लोग है तो they are less extremist and more moderate. Just for the example, though इसमें यूज नहीं होगा, मैं आई एम टेलिंग यू एनीवेज. और यहाँ पे तो लोग हैं they are more extremist और वो revolutionary nature उनका ज्यादा होगा. हाँ, this spectrum very good usage. This spectrum can be used to show the scale of evolution as well. Scale of evolution, or you want to show the timeline of any event. Like let's say agriculture में क्या क्या reforms हुए right after independence. You can show it here. You can use it as a scale to show, or the timeline to show the evolution part, or to show the impact on the scale, like the extremist evolutionaries or the moderates. Okay, हाँ बोलो.
Could it be not possible that on this side we have extremists, in the middle moderates, and then revolutionaries to show the convergence? Then how would you look at
Yes. ठीक है, you can. What I'm saying, this is not a good part that I'm claiming it to be. If you want it, you can make it. You can make it, let's say, the madhyam marg or the medium part or the golden meal. That is one usage of it. I'm showing the other usage of it in a very objective manner. The way you want it to be, it can be in that aspect as well. No issues with it. I've just given you a type of it. Use it as you want it to be. मैं एक यूजेज बता दूंगी और उस पर रिस्ट्रिक्ट हो जाऊंगी, फिर से क्रिएटिविटी और इनोवेशन का दमन हो जाएगा, है ना? तो understood what I'm saying? Finally, the circuit diagram. The circuit diagram to show that any phenomena, in order to happen or occur, there is a particular thing that we need, and there might be some resistance or challenges. That we need a particular battery to start it, then we need a particular phenomena or to that we have a right to what? Right to ask. We have a right, we were given that right, that's why this whole process began. So the initiation part, anything that you want to write to. Then we took a certain steps. Let's say we filed appeal or petition, and then we, let's say, paid the fees.
Social democracy, empowerment, and patriotism.
Then what is the bulb or what is the output? The disclosure of information. And what resistance or challenges we might have faced? Let's say delays, let's say exceptions, let's say using vague words or terms or reasons to not give the information. ITA does that. Okay. So this is how you might show a particular thing. Like if we want to show, an example was given by women empowerment. So in that, in resistance, we can show ample amount of challenges. And this can be the women empowerment. This can be the steps taken by us. Okay. So this is how you can show the circuit diagram. Shit. A better way to address your parts or questions. Okay, this was the last. Done with it. 20 diagrams I have given you. I hope you will be able to apply it and see this class again if you want to understand it again कि क्या कहाँ पे क्या चीज और किस चीज के लिए यूज हो सकता है. There is no harm in it, but it might help you and it should help you, I feel. So all was this from my side. Understood? I hope I was able to tell a lot of things. All the very best. Meet you soon.